jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Yo, what's good? Shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. A-side official. No negotiations needed, period. Good to be back at it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest with you. You know, sometimes the topics get a little bit repetitive. When it comes to mainstream media, it just gets to a point where everybody's saying the same thing. And sometimes you just want to, I've been paying attention to BJJ a little bit. Mixed martial arts, just looking at, other sports, because sometimes the monotony of boxing gets a little wicked. It gets a little wicked because, I say hocus pocus all the time, but only few people take it serious. And Allegiant Stadium is the perfect example of what I'm speaking about. I pretty much spoke that the fight is not leaving Allegiant Stadium. They just removed it from being publicly accessible until they get everything cleaned up. They put it out there that they had to make a deal with UNLV. That wasn't going to be hard enough to just, remove the ticket sales. Now, coming back at it, upon the return, ticket prices for lodging within distance, you know what I'm saying? Crazy. It's just the whole process never left that spot. And those individuals that had tickets and everything and had reservations, they was removed so, the primary players can get room and board, and then everybody else had to fall in line. But let's get back to the topic, man. Shout out to those of you that's in the chat, man. BG in the building. Bud Gunstop Canelo. What's good, man? OG Golden on deck. What it do? Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. What's going on with you, man? AB in the building. Arnold Brown. Salute to you. So let's get to the boxing topics. You feel me? We're gonna get to the Crawford Canelo situation. I want to start off with Jahi Tucker. Jahi Tucker has a fight coming up June 21st. If you don't know, now you know. And the reason why that's big time, because Jahi is one of the more entertaining fighters. I always said in the business. Not many fighters can emulate what he does in the ring, keep that pace up for the duration of his fights. Now he's going in there with a guy, Lorenzo Simpson, that's pretty much an online, tongue tussling, back and forth verbal sparring and stuff like that. And now it's done came, official. They did the paperwork. Lorenzo believes he can defeat Jahi, and Jahi knows that he can go in there and mollywop freaking Simpson. But I want y'all to take a listen to the YSM Sports interview that he did with Jahi on the eve of his July 21st fight at middleweight against Lorenzo Truck Simpson.
June 21st, I'm fighting Lorenzo Simpson. Belt to ass, he's cooked. And you know we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna be a Prudential ESPN. Make sure y'all tune in.
Now we got Lorenzo Simpson. His name holds a lot of weight because obviously associated with Javante Tank Davis. Um, both you guys are battle testing. Y'all faced some adversity early in y'all career. Just let us know your mission for this fight and how the camp has been.
Camp has been excellent, man. You feel me? Man, I've been ready for this fight since, man, I ain't leave camp. You feel me? I stayed in camp for like the past like 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago. So it was the same thing to stay.
As I was listening to this video again, it has music in the background, you know, so I really don't want the video to get taken down, to be honest with you. But pretty much what Jahi was alluding to was that one of the guys in there saying, y'all pretty much have the same type of resume. And that's no way, no how you did your research on these fighters. It's no way that you look at Jahi's resume and compare it to Lorenzo Simpson and say that's equality. That's damn level equity. You know what I'm saying? No. I don't take it too serious though, because not everybody knows about the fighters. But Simpson has, fluctuation in the amount of rounds he was fighting consistently. Yes, he does that. He does have that correlation over there in B more with Tank or the team, so to speak. You remember when he was over there on he's supposed to fight. He was over there with Devin Haney them at one point in time. And somehow the money didn't show up to the arena for them to put on the fight card. And they was trying to get these fighters. I think he was fighting another boxer, Edmondson, I believe, Ty Edmondson. And they was trying to get that man to fight for the low. No contract, no nothing. But anyway, Jahi Tucker's fight, man, I'm looking forward to seeing him grace the square once again. The fight is not getting enough hype as it should. But to each his own. Every race starts a little bit different than the other. It depends on what happens in the race that counts. So, like I said, Jahi's one of the most entertaining fighters in the sport. Everybody doesn't have knockout power, but there are some critics out there that seems to think that, every time they speak of Jahi's name, oh, he ain't knocking nobody out, he going the distance. It's a lot of fighters that go the distance, but it's not a lot of fighters that can defensively manipulate their opponent. The way Jahi Tucker does in the ring. He does it very, very well on a high level. So be sure to tune in this weekend for Lorenzo Simpson, Jahi Tucker, June 21st. All right. And shout out to Electric Boogie, man. You already know. Let's talk about this right here that's going down. There's going to be two hitters. It's going to be two hitters, man. Brian making his way. Battling, going into people's backyard. He was willing to go over there in the Phillies' backyard, but he's over there across the water, overseas, going in there against Jen Sasaki. The good thing about this fight is there's a lot of U.S. boxing fans, as always, getting behind a Japanese fighter. And I just find that to be somewhat like a sickness. A damn illness that a vaccination is not going to freaking take care of it. They busy over there. It may be the eyes. It may be the stoic expressions of these Japanese fighters. I don't know why these U.S. fans are so enamored about these Japanese boxers to the point where you can get a heavy hitter like Norman and that has legitimate punching power. And you have people up here talking about, oh man, Norman's been down before. And they just forget about it. It takes me back to how they used to address Crawford and Gamboa. They're saying that Norman's been down, but they refuse to acknowledge that Jen Sasaki has been down too. Not only that, somehow they believe Jen Sasaki has just as much punching power as Norman Jr. I mean, hey, to each his own. have your own, you have your opinion. It's all good. But both of them, at the end of the day, when you look at what really counts, both of these warriors made weight. You know what I'm saying? Brian Norman 146.8, Jen Sasaki 146.8. That's what I'm talking about. The weight has been made. Both fighters was in a tense stare down. I think more so Jen Sasaki. You couldn't really tell what was going on with Norman because his facial expression never changed. You know what I'm saying? He pretty much put it out there. Hey, I've been here before. You are no different, and I'm going to treat you that way once it come fight night tomorrow. I'm going to show you how it's supposed to be done. You know, some fighters are not moved by mean mugging. You know what I'm saying? Jeering at their opponents, the growl, you know, trying to look menacing. It just didn't seem like it worked for Jen Sasaki against Norman, you know, but I like the energy between both of them for real. I like Norman's energy. I like Sasaki's energy. They went over there an ample amount of time to get acclimated to the weight, to the weather. They was in the gym, you know what I'm saying, getting the workout in, shaking off the jet lag. So I don't foresee at all what we seen happen from Stephen Fulton. And shout out to Stephen Fulton. He learned a valuable lesson by going over there on the day of the fight week, the Wednesday of fight week. He learned a lot from that. He, you know, being unbalanced and just looking like he was never in control. As a Norman, they went in there a little bit out of 2 weeks. I would say 2.5 weeks. Being that the fight is tomorrow on a Thursday, they went over there ample amount of time to shake that off. Good professionalism, taking the fight serious. You know, Norman Jr. name is buzzing down here in Georgia. It's buzzing the fact that he is a legitimate WBO welterweight world champion. And not only that, he's already decided to go on an international excursion to go over there and sleep Sasaki. And then we all know what happened already. I haven't even got to it yet. But we already know what happened. What the announcement has been made that Jahi Ennis has decided to move to 154. Now I'm going to peel back some layers on that. But I just wanted to highlight that the welterweight division, the landscape is just wide open. Wide open. The welterweight landscape is wide open. For real. BG said, I heard there was no drug testing in the Norman fight. As I try to tell people all the time, BG, when you go over there to Japan, there has been plenty of fights that there was no drug testing. Plenty. But you know, you cannot tell these people that because they believe Monster is some type of dang Asian god. You know what I'm saying? They believe this man should be enshrined into the pantheon of boxing. Oh, he would never cheat. Because I've been saying it for quite some time. I said, I wonder if he was being drug tested for all those fights in Japan. But I do believe no matter if there's drug testing or not, he's still able to go in there and leave no ifs, ands, or buts and go over there and wipe Sasaki. You know what I'm saying? And make him say, it tight. You know, those over there in Japan know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Arigato gozaimasu. So look forward to Norman showing out tomorrow. Let me pretty much give you all where is it? Hold up for a second. So the fight coverage starts live on ESPN Plus tomorrow, Thursday at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 a.m. Pacific. The main event is expected to begin at approximately 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? 4:15 a.m. Pacific Time. Just so y'all can know, tune in to the Brian Norman Show, WBO welterweight champion, challenge Jen Sasaki. Okay, 12 round headliner, Thursday, July 19th, Tokyo, Japan. The coverage starts at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but the main event is expected to be live in living color, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. All right? Just be sure that you know I told you so. So y'all don't wake up and say, dang, I missed the fights. Okay? I'm not going to talk about the undercard because the undercard is basic. Okay? It's nothing to brag about. So I'm going to leave that be out. Pretty much the co-main event is going to be pretty decent too. You know, but I just wanted to put that out there. Both of these fighters has made it official. And I really can't wait to see what happens to the welterweight landscape once Norman then return back to the States. I'm curious to know what's going to be going on with that landscape. Seriously, because it really shakes up the welterweight division, to be honest with you. It shakes it up big time. So make sure you tune in. All right. Let's get back to Jaron Ennis. Okay. For quite some time, a lot of us knew that Jaron Ennis was too big for 147 pounds. Not only that, he was pretty much homesteading at a WBO sanctioned body prior to Crawford Spence main event, T-Mobile Massacre. Okay. He decided to hop over to the IBF at the last minute because they believed that Errol Spence would be victorious over Crawford. It's plenty of film out there. It's plenty of receipts, but they was going for Errol Spence. So they thought they was going to be next up in line. What I also said was, I believe that just looking at Jaron Ennis, I just couldn't quite understand why he's not able to motor through these fights. Why aren't you able to just bulldoze? Like, you have the physique, you have the athleticism, you have the skill set. Why are you taking breaks? And I said it may be because once he was in the IBF, once Crawford earned the title, but yet it was stripped quickly. I thought that before, Boots was just a mediocre fighter. Then when he got the title, it wasn't that much improvement initially. And I felt that it was because of the rehydration, the IBF rehydration. So, when he went the distance with Karen for a second time, he himself was even putting it out there. He was saying, well, I'm not feeling this way. Maybe, I'm 28 years old and this, that, and the other. He was kind of putting it out there that maybe it's time for him to move to 154. Hey, the message that he was sending us, right? He was putting it out there that he couldn't really get up for these opponents. Am I wrong? He couldn't get up for the Karens, but he fought them twice. He couldn't get up for the Karens, but he fought them twice. Let's listen to some audio, okay, of Jaron Ennis speaking with YSM Sports. Shout out to Jamil. Speaking of YSM Sports, which I actually thought this was a pretty solid interview. I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought that this was a pretty solid interview that Jaron Ennis did, finally ringing the bell and surrendering from the welterweight division and moving up to 154. But I will tell you this: I'm rooting for Jaron Ennis move up to 154. I am. He needs some consistency. I've been on record, and I've did a live stream on how he climbed the ladder at 147, and I'm just not sure how that even happened. And then when he finally gets the title, how he got the title, and then not really living up to the performance value that his fans was expecting him to do. So that's why I started talking about the boxing fight code. I thought, Jaron Ennis had a resume of a high number of wins, but very subpar marginal competition. And I gave him a low FICO score back then. Since that, he has unified the division finally, with Stantionis. And also, it got to a point where, for me, I was still dissatisfied. The reason being I'm dissatisfied because I'm saying, like, nobody thought that Stantionis was going to give you a go, stiff competition, make the fight difficult. Nobody thought that. Nobody even considered that fight to be a 70-30 fight. I don't think it was even 80-20. I'm serious. I didn't think it was 80-20. I'm going to be honest with you. But 154 is an opportunity for Jaron Ennis to become a prime time star. No more excuses. No more not getting up for the opposition. 154 pounds is now the moment where Jaron Ennis can be a prime time star. I'm rooting for Jaron Ennis at 154. I believe if all he needs, finally, if you're talking about the Ariel Helwani clip of his interview, when he said, well, how many fights do you think you need, be undisputed or be a superstar or something like that? He said, I only need 2 names. I'm going to go out and say Jaron Ennis need 2 solid names at 154 pounds to elevate his status, legitimacy. I'm not saying he's not legitimate as a champion at 147. He is. Okay? Because you can't keep harping on how he got the IBF title, even though, if I'm speaking about it, I'll probably say, hey, it was messed up how he got it. But when you look at him moving up to 154, formerly unified at the welterweight division, my last mention of Jaron Ennis was, when is he going to vacate the titles? Because now that he's officially announced his move up to 154, we want to see what the title's looking like. But yet, I want to see what his top 2 opponents. Is he going to somehow get a championship fight in his first fight back? I mean, I've heard him be one of those fighters who clout chase Crawford's name. Crawford, when he moved up to 47 and 54, they was both championship fights. So I'm looking at it like, is he going to move up to 154? Because he say he's been in the division long enough. But let's take a listen rather, at YSM Sports interview with Jaron Ennis.
Well, I feel like now is the time because, I've been at 47 for 9 years, almost 10 years, and I've been making that weight for a long time. And I feel like the time is right. It's that time, and I feel like it's time for me to be comfortable and be myself.
Do you think, like, when you say now's the time, I know you wanted to be undisputed. I know that was a goal of yours. Mm. So what made you pivot from undisputed to like, yo, this 54, it's now or never?
What made me like pivot is like, some of these other champions, they taking, other fights and things like that. And
Okay, he said some of these other champions are taking other fights. To be clear, that Jerron, you said that Brian Norman really ain't that good, and Eddie Hearns was talking about gear soft. But I'm not gonna hype on it. I'm not gonna hype on it too much.
In between, and I feel like I don't have no time for that. My goal was to be.
Isn't that what WCF said? I said, how is he going? How is Norman going to fight his fight? Boots go ahead and fight Gearsoft, and he's continuing to get older and bigger, and it's going to be hard for him to cut the weight. So, no.
Having them back to back, fight champion after champion after champion, and move up to 154. Like I always said, even in the previous interviews, I said.
That's contradicting, Boots, because if you wanted to do it back to back, you wouldn't have been on here talking about we sent him 3 offers. Y'all wouldn't have made it extremely difficult, not winning the purse bid and everything else Eddie Hearns had going on. I mean, come on. You can't put that off on any other fighter except the one that you see in the mirror. Because if you're going to say you sent them offers and they declined them, well, you also need to take culpability, and Eddie Hearns stands far away from making sure they make that Norman fight.
Yeah. I'm down here for the belts.
Why didn't you have time for that? Your promoter Eddie Hearns spoke about a situation with your doctor, and they said that you were underperforming. Is that why you wanted to run them all in a straight line very quickly?
Yeah, I mean that too, and I feel like I'm about to be 28 in a week. So I feel like it's just that time. I've been at 47 for, like I said, 9 years, almost going on 10 years, and I sucking all the way down to 47. I feel like it's just kind of like a lot, and even with the nutritionist, like we got blood work and stuff done and things like that, just to see like what I'm missing and what I need, and it basically was telling me like I'm underperforming, like I'm really like at probably 30-40%, fighting these fights,
30 or 40%. So 30 or 40%, yo. 30 or 40%. He's trying to say that due to him standing in the division too long, he was only performing at 30 to 40%. So that means 60% is out there in escrow. Hear me out, yo. 60% of his performance value, whether it was in currency, Bitcoin, pesos, freaking monopoly money, 60% is in escrow, y'all. 60. He said he was just performing 30 to 40%. Dang.
And that took a consideration, as well, and so it was a lot of things. And like I said before, it was just time, it's time to move up, time to be me, time to be comfortable, and not play a dangerous game, going down to 47, because you got to be on point, when you kind of wait and things like that. Any like hiccup or anything like that, it's, you can have an off night, and I don't want to have no off nights, I want to have, from this point forward, after that last performance, I got every fight, I got to have a crazy performance, an explosive performance.
Now, I agree with you on that. You have to. But, man, this is why I don't like Ennis's interviews, because do he even believe what he's saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, we've seen you in there. And, you'll tell us that, it's good you fighting at home. In Philly, you can kick your feet up, get home cooked meals and all that. And then, you go the distance with Karen. It's all about you performing at 40%. You just leaving 60% out there in escrow, man. 0% interest on it. 0% interest. It ain't building no type of money and no value. You just saying, hey, I want performing up to my best. So I can't have any more off nights. So it's good you recognize you had off nights. You did. But now you have to think about this, Ennis. Real talk. You have to think about this. The fighter that you're saying that you have to basically separate yourself. You have to continue to reciprocate that type of performance value that you had. Build your FICO, your boxing FICO is off a Stantionis. And no one thought Stantionis was that guy for you. So you cannot use him as a measuring tool just because you went over there and made him look easy. You got to go in there with the big dogs at 54. And just like BG said, Murtazalayev is there. You go in there and wipe Murtazalayev clean out. Clean out. And look, we don't know what Boots look like in adversity. But we know he's a hell of a boxer. But we don't know what he looked like in there with a zombie like Murtazalayev, man.
Every time out, and that's why I want to give you guys. So, I think 54 is where I'm going to do it at, and this is where they said the smoke at. So, I'm here now. So, let's make it happen. Let's get it popping.
When you talk about the weight and underperforming, right?
Mm-hmm.
People were shocked to see how you looked at the weight.
Yeah.
They felt like you looked drained. You said that you were fine, right? Is it one of those? Is it one of those situations where I see boxers a lot of times?
Yeah.
Man, boxers say that, yo, I'm good. I had a great camp and this and that, and then you find out afterwards.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like all of us as boxers, that's what we gotta say. That's what we're gonna say. At the end of the day, that's what we do for a living. We ain't turning down no fight because we injured or we don't feel good. If I have a bad camp, of course I'm gonna say I'm gonna have a good camp. But why would I say I had a bad camp? That don't make sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even with injuries, like, it's multiple camps where all of us fighters, even me myself, I was hurt and I never said nothing to nobody. Nobody even knew I was hurt, and I still went out there and performed. We go through a lot, in camp and things like that. The cutting weight, the injuries, they don't know, like, dang, they don't know if you're gonna make weight, like stuff like that, like different things like that. It'd be like a lot of mental stuff going on too. So, yeah.
How long I ain't gonna say how long you had a weight issue, but how long has making the weight the right way and making sure that, or worried about that you'll wake up good? How long has that been on your head, like on your mind?
I'm gonna say it's been on my mind for a while. I said, like, I'm getting older, and the older I'm getting, the harder it is for me to make the weight. Like I just said, I'm about to be 28. So
yeah, we heard you about to be 28. Yeah, we heard that after the Korean part 2. But you say for a while, but yet you chose to stay at the weight. You made the weight for Stantionis, and you look good. You know what I'm saying? You went in there performing high level, exciting. But yet, when you went in there carrying, I was trying to, tell the people that, hey, maybe it's the rehydration for the IBF, but you're saying you've been at the weight class for this certain amount of years and you getting older. When WCS put it out there, people keep on talking about him unifying with Brian Norman. Did I not tell you all this man was not unifying the welterweight division? I mean, I'm not going to get on a freaking megaphone and say this over and over again. I said it was no way that he was going to unify. Dude is playing around with his weight. He's at the division too long. He's a big welterweight. There's no way that he was going to unify the division.
It's not going to get easier. It's only going to get a little harder. And you gotta basically be careful. When you cut weight like that, and you gotta make smart decisions and the right thing. And I feel like I said, I'm not trying to sound repetitive, but I feel like the time now, and I'm ready.
Is there any outside factors? Because we've seen guys perform bad, either lose or then come in overweight.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm not trying to have a off night or a bad performance, and everybody be looking at me like, man, what happened? People don't even know when you cutting weight and things like that. That could affect a lot.
See, that's part of the game, bro. And it's people in the hottest chat in the MF game. They understand that this is a part of boxing, man. This is not only like a ritual. This is something that affects you in many different ways, depending on what sanctioning body you're attached to. It depends, yeah, of course, how long you've been in the division. What's your age? We've seen it all before. But why are we spreading so much icing on top of Ennis? And now all of a sudden you want to make it a weight issue because of the criticism. The criticism is not going to dissipate that quickly. It's not going to melt away. That's how he was going in there and boxing. That's what. Because after the fight, you didn't hear anything about no weight issues when he was having mediocre performances, when he couldn't get Avenesian up out of there. I mean, you didn't hear about all this stuff, but now we hearing, oh, I don't tell nobody about injuries. Weight cutting is tough. Of course it is. Of course weight cutting is tough. Of course. We've seen it. It affects every fighter differently.
It affect fatigue, your legs, like your mind, all that. Like you be weak. Like for example, look at Ray. Run Ray for Nick Ball.
I gotta speed this up, man.
Nick Ball can't beat Ray. You can tell Ray had no legs, bro. Like you could tell. Like you could tell he had no legs. He had a pop, but when he went to 30, he's comfortable. He felt good. So there's a lot of guys. You can go Earl. You can go a few guys.
Cool boy.
Scoot. I'm tripping. Scoot stayed at his weight for too long. Me and Scoot, we actually was talking about that not too long ago. He felt like he should have been moved. He was down there at the weight waiting for what's his name, MJ.
Yeah.
He was waiting for MJ, and MJ never fought him, and then he got the Illinois fight. But he said just overstaying your part at weight divisions where you don't need to or don't have to. You got to take into consideration your health is more important. I know the fans are supportive and think this and think that, but at the end of the day, our health is more important than what else is going on in the world.
And you've seen fighters, I've seen fighters actually make a decision while cutting weight. Like, look,
and not to cut you off, but you don't want to be in the ring. Like, dang, I should on fight night or fight day, I should just moved up. Or you in the second, third round, I don't feel good. I think I should just moved up. You got bad thoughts. That's boxing mostly mental. You in the ring, talking about saying you should have moved up. You already there now. You got rumble. It's not nothing you could do.
For sure.
Yeah.
Boots, what do you think 54 has for you legacy-wise?
Yeah, because this chat doesn't think you're going to move up and automatically fight somebody that has that, that shock and awe value that puts you on the map. See, now we're about to see how uneasy it makes these fighters who was clout chasing Crawford. Because Crawford, just because he made it look easy, and then when they decide to turn the pages on his career and come up with the criticism, guess what? Now we get to see somebody who they were saying that Crawford was ducking. Okay, you're moving up to 154, no more weight issues, right? So you are the unified champion, IBF and the WBA welterweight world champion. Are you going to implement one of those clauses and go up there and fight Murtazalayev right off the rip? Because the chat want to know.
54 legacy-wise, the goal is I couldn't, accomplish at 47. I'm gonna do it at 54. I feel like it's a lot of bigger names, at 54. A lot of tough guys. And I feel like nobody at 154 going to duck no smoke. I feel like everybody gonna fight everybody, and that's what I need.
Mario Bart.
Y'all remember this, right? He feels that everybody's gonna fight everybody at 54. Remember, Boots said this, and you have to put yourself up at the front of the line, Boots, being that you're moving up to 47, and then you have these people that has this freaking this sense of all of a sudden poundage makes a whole lot of difference when you're moving up in weight. Okay, for somebody that the size of Boots that's moving up to 154, I said this about Haney, and I was right at 140. I believe that Devin stayed at 135 too long, and he really wasn't going to do too much at 140. All right. I said that who's the other fighter that I believe that stayed at the weight class? You can stay at a weight class too long. Then Errol Spence. I said, I don't think it'll behoove Errol Spence to come back at 154. When he's been in welterweight so long, even Boots just mentioned it, come back at 154, that might be tough for him to make. So he might need to come back at 160. I just put that out there.
Burns was a guy that you always wanted at 47. You wanted Brian Norman too. You were in talks with both. When you said like guys kind of like fucking around, is the Barrios Pacquiao situation, is that like a nail in the coffin? Like,
yeah, just that. When both of those guys, went on to do what they had to do, that definitely took another consideration. Like, it's just like they're gonna be down here playing around. I don't got time for that. Like I said, I'm not trying to sound repetitive, but I'll be 28. I'm getting older.
You're gonna be 28, y'all, but Boots, we don't believe it, bro. You said Brian ain't really that good, and Eddie Hearn was talking about gear soft. You had every opportunity if you wanted to fight champions back to back. Where's this coming from, bro? Where's this coming from? Come on, man. I know if you're out on the street just chopping it up with the fellas, man, you want to allow on some females or some, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but dude, you just sitting up here fibbing us, bro. Right to our face that they didn't want to do anything. They playing around. How do you believe Barrios is playing around? He just came off a tough fight from getting beat up. How is he playing around? What receipts are out there that saying you was trying to make the Barrios fights? What receipts are out there saying that you really wanted the Brian Norman fight? You said the man really not that good, but yet you put it out there saying they playing around. How did you come up with that? Y'all was not talking about fighting Norman after your last fight with Stantionis.
Yeah, I feel like, and I really feel like I should have been moved up, maybe like a year or two ago, but I only stayed there this week, to, collect the vote. But I feel like it's getting harder and harder,
He just didn't want to get knocked out, bro. He know if he would have tried to make that weight against Norman, it would have been crucial. It would have been a crucial conflict, y'all. It would have been absolutely a crucial conflict for Boots. He knows it. He knows it. It would have been crucial for him to go in there with Norman Jr., being that, he's a big welterweight. But my question moving on is no, just like BG put up here in response to Arnold Brown, nobody knows who he's fighting, but it won't be Murtazalayev. So, I mean, we have to hold Boots accountable. Like, bro, all the time that y'all said y'all didn't know who Abisnezian and Avocado was, all this that you've been at division too long. You're 28 years of age. You name other fighters that stayed at the divisions too long. Cool Boy Stuff, Errol Spence, and so on. Nick Ball. Now you're saying that you need to excel based off your last performance. You need a higher grade. So if that's the case, why haven't we heard you calling out the big dogs? If you believe at 54, everybody's gonna fight everybody, you should come in there right away, because we seen Crawford do it right off the rip, fighting a champion. Buachuk might be on deck, man. Buachuk, I like his fighting style, but come on, we've been seeing what happened to Buachuk, bro. That's not a fight I want to see for look on the Brown. To me, that's not a fight I want to see for Jerron Ennis, because it'll take me back to Ramon Villa. That's what it'll take me back to. Like a fighter that's going to try to prove to an up-and-coming fighter that he's going to be right there, FaceTiming him the whole time, and Boots is just going to be able to land his combinations and ring him up. Man, come on, bro. I don't want to see that. He looked good against Virgil. Yeah, he's a tough dude. Yeah, but I don't want to see that style with Jerron Ennis, because we've seen it already. Shout out to those in the chat. Shout out to BG, man. You be on your shit, man. Shout out to you, bro. Swat Jones in the building. What it do, Swat? How you living, bro? What's good with you, man? Glad to see you back in the mix. Yeah, man, I just, taking a break, looking at some other sports, because you hear the same chorus all the time. People keep on talking about the same thing. Shakur Stevenson, Cepeda, Shakur Stevenson. If Floyd Schofield, is he ready for goddamn Tevin Farmer? I don't know. Tevin Farmer gonna beat him up. This, that, and the other. He ain't ready. His daddy, and this, that, and the other. And then now, look, not to get off topic, not to swerve, into the, off the highway, but now we getting Devin Haney and Teofimo, the same stuff we got at 135. I'm just shaking my head. I say, man, come on, man. We seen this at 135. T.O. didn't want to fight Devin Haney at 135. Devin had the WBC belt, and T.O. decided to fight Kambosos, which changed Kambosos' life. You know what I'm saying? So now at 147, they're trying to somehow wrangle attention to T.O. and Devin again. I'm just not buying it. I just don't want to hear it no more. I just don't want to hear that fight no more. I don't. I would rather T.O. fight somebody at 140 worth mentioning. Wasn't T.O. on deck dancing the idea that he wanted Bruce Ennis and people going around here talking? It's so much misinformation that's populated out here in the mainstream media. It gets crazy, yo. But shout out to YSM Sports for that interview, man. That was his content. Shout out to YSM for doing this thing over there in the fighting hole over there in the Philly fighting hole in boxing. I'm excited to see Norman Jr. tomorrow morning. Jen not walking in the park, but I think Junior gonna get him. I will be up watching. You say you but I think Suarez unsure. I'm telling you, man, these U.S. boxing enthusiasts, man, they will give the cosign stamp to Jin Sasaki and other Japanese fighters. They don't even have the credentials. Like, they are just looking the part. Real talk. They're just looking the part right now, yo. They're just looking the part. That's it. And they co-sign them. Oh, man, I think, Norman, I'm unsure. Hey, man, you leaving some dead space of thought. You feel me? That's why it's okay, man. We good, man. We good, man. I mean, if you unsure and you think, then the fight, they say the main event should be popping off around 7 a.m. And Boots not going to fight any other top fighters in 54 anytime soon. I agree with you, man. I agree with you, bro. I gotta take this off Boots right now and get to the, the epic, historic, battle royale that's going down September 13th. I'm a bit disappointed in everything that's going on with this fight right now, because they didn't have to remove it from Allegiant Stadium and basically pretty much, I wouldn't say sabotage, but they kind of scribbled people's reservations. They kind of scribbled on people's reservations that was already set. When they removed those ticket sales and these hotels was, people's like unsure. Oh my God, man, why don't I just get? And I was trying to tell people, I believe it's still going to be at Allegiant Stadium because they're trying to do something never been done before. And, it was wrong of them to do that. That was just wrong, man. Sometimes you got to take a break from boxing. Too much BS involved. Yeah, man. People be saying the same things. I agree with you, BG. In fact, you're not lying. I've been on the other side of the YTC for a little bit. Been in relationship debates. I got bored with boxing. Oh, for real. Real, the relationship debates, especially if you got some females in there too, it gets interesting. And Blue will tell you, I've been over on Spaces. I'm trying to do more Spaces. Have y'all come over there and do some Spaces, man, and light that up. Talk that boxing over on Spaces. Haynes Legacy been over there. Blue, you know what I'm saying? and along with the other group of guys that I be in spaces with over there talking. But yeah, man, I'm trying my best, man, to try to get the word out there, so y'all can join the spaces. Bailey, what's good with it, bro? So, if y'all don't already know, man, the situation is what it is. Allegiant Stadium has touched down again. I'm just disappointed that it was removed in the first place. I'm still hyped up about the fight, okay? But it's just irritating that boxing always want to puppetize the fans. Like, what other combat sport has to go through this? Real talk, fellas. What other combat sport has to go through this type of stuff? Like, why do they play around with us so much? I mean, like, they make it so difficult for us to just slide in there easy, be proactively sliding in there easy for a fight of this freaking magnitude. You had it right the first time. Boom. Allegiant Stadium, ticket sales. People was going to start lighting it up. They was going to start purchasing the tickets. Then you had to remove it. I don't agree with the removal. I don't agree with the pettiness. I just don't agree with it, man. The fight is epic. Being that we rarely get something that has the sculpture that this has. Like, this right here is a freaking monumental fight. When I say sculpture, this is a monumental fight, and they had to bring it to the forefront early, remove it, and then have people scrambling back to find out it's not that easy to come in there and stay at a hotel for 3 days close to the freaking Allegiant Stadium. When the people, I know it's some people that's probably just, maintain their 10, stood on their 10 and said, I'm not moving my reservations. I'm gonna stall them out. Now they sitting pretty because they have reservations for the amount of time that they want to stay. But you try to go and get reservations close to the Allegiant Stadium right now in some of those nice places, you're just not going to be able to do it. You're going to have to check out, but it's been wild because, okay, let's try to put some organization to this, right? So Canelo Alvarez, he needs to get just as much criticism for being the head honcho over there in Team Reynoso as Reynoso does. You people that's out here attempted to separate Canelo Alvarez on the eve of this fight is a no-go. He is the head honcho. He is the cash cow. If you're going to highlight him at the top, I'm talking about the top of the COC, the chain of command, the cash cow, then you have to do it in times like recognizing that another fighter in Hami Magia tested positive for synthetic testosterone, y'all. Synthetic. He was messing with that potent. That was potent. There's no way, no how that this is a Ryan Garcia situation where we're talking about contamination. We're talking about condemnation. We're talking about you had to orally insert this for that to be a part of his biological structure. He cheated. His alpha and his bravo returned positive. Now, Canelo Alvarez has been a part of a holding stall of fighters who's going in there getting them horse tranquilizers. Why is this the case? Why is this the case? Why does it continue to happen? And are people going to look at this fight just like it was said in the chat? BG said it's not any drug testing going on for this fight over in Japan. I'm curious to know if it's going to be drug testing for this fight at Allegiant Stadium between Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. Because I know in Crawford's mind, he probably feel Absolutely that he can go in there and beat Canelo if he was juiced up or not. I mean, he didn't beat Triple G. And that was years ago. But when it comes to Canelo for this fight, I'm very curious to know if by chance there's going to be drug testing. That needs to be scrutinized. A lot of people are not selecting to criticize Canelo Alvarez for all the fighters that have been around his proximity in that Reynoso stable of testing dirty. For Crawford, when it comes to the running joke is he's on snack. Okay. I would rather be the running joke of being on snack than being on performance enhancing drugs. Being that Canelo only popped dirty once, you have people saying that, well, you know, Mauricio Suleiman came in there and took care of that. No. Now he has company. He has a lot of company that's around him. But you don't see that in B&B. You don't see fighters over there popping dirty. Crawford hasn't popped dirty. There hasn't been fighters over there in the stable coming out there popping dirty. I'm trying to tell you that is within the camp. And you know, the foul part about it is that you have people saying that, oh, it's not Canelo's job to babysit. Well, let that happen over there at B&B. Let it happen in any other stable where you had a popular fighter, especially Crawford, and somebody popped dirty over there. They're going to be saying, I told you, snack, snickety snack. You think you're going to convince me that these people who was continuing to mention Gamboa's name over and over again, they're not going to continue to mention snack if Crawford popped dirty? They're going to say all the way back to Sean Porter. We told you he didn't have confidence that he can beat Sean Porter naturally. He was juiced. He was juiced when he fought Avanesian, juiced when he fought Errol. I knew he couldn't beat Errol naturally. You know, let Crawford pop dirty for anything other than greatness. And they're going to sit up there and tell you, we knew all along. You can see it, yo. How he going to move up there and fight the bigger Jeff Horn and do that? I knew, To be honest with you, y'all going to be mad at me, think I'm trolling. But, you know, I mean, yeah, I didn't really think he'd have an easy go like that with Julius Ndongo. I think he might have been Julius Ndongo. Or we might be able to go all the way back to Gamboa. And Gamboa was just better than Crawford. I knew it. But then you look at Ricky Burns. Do you really think he can beat Ricky Burns? I didn't think so. You know, what other fight he had before that to say he can beat? You know, they're going to take it all the way back to the inception of Crawford's boxing career. We don't have to worry about that because Crawford's a clean fighter. It's Canelo that we should be concerned about. It's Canelo who has team members that continue to pop dirty, and inquiring minds are curious to know if there's going to be drug testing over there in Vegas. You know, the good part about it is that there are some viewers who's going to find this disturbing because they are Canelo fanatics and they see no wrong in what he's doing. I've heard people even say, oh man, all boxers are juicing. It's just all about, you know, who's not able to, you know, get caught coming off it. All the boxers are juicing. And, you know, get off Canelo. Canelo ain't the only one. You know, Canelo ain't the only one. Come on, man. Let's be real about this. Swat say, yeah, it's bittersweet. Hold on for a second. He said, yeah, it's bittersweet. I got Crawford. But man, I was not expecting for the event to unravel like this. No undercard. Sheesh. We're going to see. Well, they definitely have to have a minimum of four fights. You know what I'm saying? And that's to include the main event. So, yeah, at this point in time, you have to look at a fight that's this epic, and it will behoove them to just carefully put together an attractive undercard. They need to make this happen. They need to do it the right way. Your turkey be moving too fast sometime. Dan have to retract. Yeah, I heard the undercard gonna be mediocre. Yeah, it's highly possible with all that money that's going out to the main event. They trying to find some names that's just right up there next to the middle, but not mid tier. That people can say, okay, this is good enough for me to be in the arena until the main event, because they know nobody ain't going nowhere. They're gonna stay there to the main event. It's mixed information. I'm hearing it's not one. I could be wrong. I have to have an undercard. If not, they are going to lose a lot of money. Okay, what we do know there golden is that the fans are going to come for the main event, period. So no matter when they show up, I mean, if you look at, let's just say, put three fights on the undercard that nobody want to see, they're going to be at the concession stands. They're going to be out in the streets. They're going to be close by getting lit. Then they can slowly but surely, when the time, they're going to start to, kind of dial in. Hey, man, what car they on? Everybody start looking at they sheets and everything. Let's start heading to the arena. They're going to be at the concessions anyway until the co-main event get on deck. Now they know, without a doubt, it's always an intermission before the main event. It's always like a 15-minute, 30-minute intermission or something. It depends on how the rhythm and flow happens, bro. This will be the first card for TKO Boxing Promotion. Okay, this will be. And it's going to be Zuffa Boxing. Like I said before, there's a lot of people that's unaware that Zuffa was actually trying to, march into boxing a ways back. So, you got the Zuffas. It's going to be called Zuffa Boxing. And in my opinion, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't see nothing wrong with Zuffa Boxing. People going crazy, man. Yeah, Bud versus Canelo gonna definitely sell out, bro. They're gonna definitely sell out because you have the Mexican fighter that's gonna have one of the most epic ring walks. You have Crawford, no telling who he's gonna have walk him out. But it's nothing like when Canelo had them ring walks. They just be different. In my opinion, they just be different. They just be different, bro. We're not new, but next to boxing in that regard. To be honest, Canelo versus Bud could pull that off, especially with TKO being new. It really don't have nothing to do with TKO. It's just the names that's out there. I would seriously doubt this would be a one fight type of event. We have to be honest, man. What sense would that make to be a one fight event? You're trying to tell me you don't have names, quality names out there to make an undercard? Yes, it's going to be an undercard. I would be highly surprised if they try to run the gamut and not have a UC for this card and just have a main event. No, they better have some freaking concert. They better have something. They better have some entertainment. They better have, the local, California circus, a Ringling Barnum and Bailey circus to come out there and do some trapeze, some trapezes act, or jump through rings of fire, mess around with some wild lions. They better bring something. Just having one single fight, no entertainment. People are gonna start the fight. Okay, that's gonna be your undercard. The fans are gonna start the fight because they're gonna be towed up. You see them promoting the Bud and Canelo fight. Okay, on Raw Monday night. Yeah, you have to understand. They're going to get that World Wrestling Entertainment because you have Nick Khan, who's the president of the WWE. You're going to see them promoting the heck out of this. Why? Because Dana White, Nick Khan, and Turkey Ellis Sheik is the trio. And yes, what better stage platform to promote this fight outside of the boxing monotony than World Wrestling Entertainment? Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope they keep it up. Now, the wild part there, BG, is that you're not wrong, bro. Like, listen, I would like to see Carissa Shield on a card like that, but fighting somebody that we want to see her fight. And shout out to her, like Daniels, the opponent. No, that could never go on that card. No. Shields fighting somebody like Franchon Cruz DeZern, Hannah Gabriel, anybody like Alicia Baumgart. Let's just say she was fighting at 154. Um, it's an MMA fighter or something. In a boxing match. I don't know, man. Yeah, I would like to see Carissa get some shine on that card because the other day she was talking about with all her credentials potentially fighting at the T-Mobile for the first time or something like that, headlining. I was like, man, if a male boxer had Carissa Shields' credentials, man, we wouldn't even be talking about the T-Mobile arena like it was an option. They would have already fought there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they was all bought by Endeavor or something like that. They was purchased by Endeavor or something like that. Yeah, for sure. No. Heck no. Shadeja Green, don't even do that, BG. No, she ain't ready yet, bro. She has some questionable performances. I have no problem with Shadeja Green, but covering her on the Chitlin circuit and what I've been seeing um with her performances, I just really haven't seen the vitamins kick in yet. Yeah, she's 15-1, 11 KOs. Like she went in there against a fighter that, Carissa Shields fought on her debut. Um, she's fighting 8-4-2 fighter, UD. Melinda Wapool, 7-0. She won a split decision. I won't want to see her in there. And she's gonna have a very, very tough go against Savannah Marshall. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, man. Hey, look, I don't have to finish that. Don't be surprised. Savannah Marshall is no joke now. Savannah Marshall is no joke. Tough fight for Shadeja Green. But hopefully Shadeja go in there and pulls it off. Best wishes to her. Going in there and pulling it off, man. But Savannah Marshall, we all know that she is a tough opposition. Seriously, that's a tough fight. But to this back to topic, Crawford Canelo, kudos, it's going down for sure. But it's just, all the play stuff. The hocus pocus. You know what I'm saying? The moment that you say, ta-da, yeah, we back in Vegas. Yeah, we had to make you sweat for it a little bit. Why? You could have just left it out there for us. Got the tickets. I mean, the tickets would have been sold out already, in my opinion. It would have been sold out. But you know what it is, man. Is it something else I wanted to say? Let me see, where is it? I was gonna, I'm kind of digressing from the Boxing News 24, because they're so predictable with their articles. They're so predictable. You know, Chris Williams just be hating on certain specific fighters, man. It just get old. It's stale. I'm not gonna read it like that no more. But it was one note that I wanted to make. Who was it? Oh, Shakur Stevenson. My bad, Shakur. Shakur Stevenson, you know, Williams to pay the fight. I really hope Big Dog, you know, Shakur go up there and have the best performance of his career. You know, because Cepeda does have some energy coming off that Tevin Farmer, you know, part 1 and 2. And then they, you know, the argument is going to be that Shakur Stevenson is no Tevin Farmer. He's better than Tevin Farmer. So if you expecting Shakur to have the same type of, you know, struggle, so to speak, or, you know, in the mud or drag about, you know, throughout the fight, trying to seize the moment, you're gonna have you got another thing coming, because he's way better than Tevin Farmer. But some people are looking at it like, okay, well, Shakur's had hand problems. Is he gonna hurt his hand again? Is he gonna try to go in there and be extremely cautious and just do the Richardson Hitchens and work fundamentals, jab, 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 1-1-2, 2-1, 1-2-1? Who knows? You know, but as long as he stay healthy, I want Shakur to stay healthy in this fight. I want to see a very solid performance against William Cepeda, because, you know, depending on who you talk to, some people believe William Cepeda is going to give Shakur his toughest fight. So some people believe that Shakur is going to go over there and make it look easy. I get it. That's boxing in a nutshell. Cracked, though cracked. The nutshell is cracked. That's boxing in a nutshell. People can't make up their freaking minds on, you know, fighters that they are very familiar with. But then it gets to a fight, and then you have to basically, you know, take their previous opponents, and then you have to take any other collective evidence that you need to form your argument, and then it goes haywire from there. That's pretty much what I hear from Shakur Stevenson, William Cepeda. But I'm pretty sure Shakur can get it done. Seriously. I'm pretty sure he can go in there and outbox Cepeda. You know, the pressure that he was putting on Tevin Farmer, styles make fights. Is he going to do that with an accurate, punctual fighter like Shakur Stevenson has very good defense? We have to see on fight night. We have to see. I didn't know that you have an undercard, though. I learned something today. Appreciate it. Don't want to be. Yeah, you have to have a minimum of 4 cards, man. Let's see what's going on. The undercard will only showcase incoming talent. So like prelims, if they're only showcasing upcoming talent, that means their purses are going to be very small, you know, because the grand share of the monetary payout, of course, is going to be the main event. Of course, we know that. But hey, a shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game, man. Y'all hold it down. Hey, continue to get your prayers for Haynes' legacy, who's out here, you know, having an everyday battle with his health. And, you know, shout out to, you know, B-Mac. I'm not sure. I haven't seen B-Mac back on here. Hope all is well, you know, over there with the Mag Mob and B-Mac and everything. And shout out to y'all, man. All the fathers who just had Father's Day. Shout out to those individuals that was appreciated on that day, even though we should be appreciated every day, you know, because being fathers is not an easy job. It's not easy. But salute to the hottest chat in MF and game. Appreciate y'all support. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.